How are you doing, Over the Top fans? Here we are again. My name is Jerome, and
I'm Rob. And how you doing again tonight? We are going to talk about the Avengers Endgame that we both have had a chance to see, along with a friend of ours. And if you have not seen the movie, we suggest that you don't listen to us probably after these first 5 minutes.
Yeah, you maybe should not watch this right now because you're going to be, it's kind of going to spoil for you.
We will go over quite a few holes that were left out. What ifs? What are your speculations? So give us your feedback even on this, because this is going to be an interesting part here as we dissect Endgames, which, by the way, if you've not seen it, it is 3 hours and 5 minutes of action and lots of speculations on where the other superheroes goes. And we had a chance to talk to a couple of people at the movie theater. In fact, we were going to do a clip of it before we threw this out.
Yeah, but
yeah, lucky us, our battery died, and that was the end of that. So we were able to still talk to a few people, and the consensus was when one of the areas was talking about who we think they're going to die.
Everybody said Iron Man. Everybody said Iron Man. Some people thought, pretty much Iron Man.
It's pretty much Iron Man. A couple of people threw in there that Spidey might not come back, or he might die during the movie also, but we know that was not the case. So let's go ahead and we're going to start breaking it down. And also at the end of our breakdown here, we're going to come up with some of the movies that are going to be coming out for Marvel as well, and even one for DC that is set to come out as well. We won't go into detail on that because this is about Marvel's Avengers Endgame.
And the Marvel upcoming movies.
Correct. So let's go ahead and get into this. Again, if you've not seen the movie, we suggest that you don't start watching pretty much right now as we go into it. The movie starts off exactly as you see the trailer, which is the remaining Avengers are together.
Yeah, together, but the movie initially starts off with not Green Arrow, what's the name?
Yeah, it basically starts off with we're out in the country.
And he's showing his daughter how to shoot the arrow.
Right.
So I guess they went back in time to show how his family disappeared, because his family disappeared.
Right, it disappeared. And during the leading up into Endgames, remember Thanos snaps his finger and all of the people start vanishing, which was about half the Earth population and everything. And this is basically, we've seen the superheroes that disappeared, but now we get a chance to be able to see one of the people that his family actually starts to disappear. They're outside. He's showing his daughter how to be able to shoot the arrow, and they're actually doing a cookout on it. So so basically it's Barton's family, Hawkeye,
that's his name. I keep getting him confused with Green Arrow. I don't know why.
Green Arrow is totally different than Hawkeye is, but Hawkeye, you'll find out, is the closest Avenger to Black Widow. So I believe they're trying to attach this to what will happen later in the movie with Black Widow. But he's out there with his daughter, teaching her how to shoot. He turns around and is getting ready to do something, and he waits for his daughter to reply, and there's no reply, and he turns around and realizes that his whole family is gone.
Right.
And then we get into where the remaining Avengers are over in Stark's office, basically.
But Stark wasn't. He didn't participate in the beginning. He looked like he lost a lot of weight, like he was sick.
Right. And they're actually, let's see, it was Captain America, it was Black Widow, along with Thor, along with.
No, Thor wasn't there.
No, Thor was there.
Captain America was there.
Right.
Thor was there in the beginning?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was in the background, yeah. Along with the new Hulk, as well as the sidekick for Iron Man.
What is his name?
And that's the Major.
Major, that's his name?
Right. And then you have, oh shoot, I'm trying to remember who the remainers were here.
That was there at the start.
Right.
It was only them. It was Black Widow, it was Captain America, it was Thor, it was Nebula. I want to say she was there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
No, but we got to rewind a little bit, because in the beginning of the movie, after his family disappeared, it showed how the ending was, where Nebula and Iron Man were in space, and Iron Man was about to die.
Iron Man, yes.
So that's why he had lost all the weight.
That's why he lost all the weight. Yes.
Okay.
So he gets rescued actually by Captain Marvel, right?
Okay.
So because of being rescued with Captain Marvel, he had lost the weight, but also at the same time, his mind had kind of gone a little bit as well, because he was actually chasing Thanos, and it definitely it didn't work out the way he had planned, like chasing
Thanos into space.
Into space, because he lost all power. Now, what's her name? What I'm trying to think of her name here.
Cool.
That the sister was on the ship with him.
Nebula,
right?
Yeah, Nebula with him.
And now it didn't bother her
because she's a robot,
right? in a sense, but so now also at the same time, once Tony gets back and everything, because his mind has been lost, they kind of put him away in a sense
in the beginning, like,
because they know that he's just not going to be of any help at this point. So basically, there's no holes in the story or anything, other than now we have to figure out going ahead is what is the purpose of them all getting together, other than to get the stones back originally from Thanos, but how are they going to be able to do it? Now, pretty quickly, I think you probably felt the same thing, which was all of a sudden there's these thoughts that they're having, which is Ant-Man appears. That's he comes out of nowhere, basically.
A mouse or something comes and hits the switch and brings Ant-Man back.
Right.
The car was in some type of trailer.
Right. It was a van that he's in and it triggers him to be able to come back.
But if you remember how Ant-Man ended, that's how he got stuck in there.
Right.
Like, that's how it ended. But the mouse was somehow hit the switch.
Right.
And brought him back.
So he basically, what had happened is he teleported into a future. Now, even though it was a long period of time for reality, it was a short period of time for him, which was about 5 seconds.
He said 5 years feels like 5 seconds.
Right.
They said based off of how he explained it.
Right. How the process goes. You'll see it in the movie. He goes into further detailing, but basically, it's, if you remember, Ant-Man was able to shrink and go very deep into a subspace, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And then he was able to return, and this made him even more powerful because he had done something that had never been able to be done before, and came back basically from this. So now Ant-Man becomes a key figure in this on this traveling area. He is able to figure out, and I pretty much, it's probably about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes of the movie. As soon as Ant-Man starts talking about this, I'm like, son of a gun, they're going to try to figure out how to go back and get the stones. So the process during the whole movie is pretty deep, very down, detailed and everything on how Ant-Man is going to, knows that it can be done, but now they need the mind to be able to actually make it happen with more than just one person.
The mind were Iron Man and Hulk.
Right.
Actually, because they're brains of most of the operation.
Right. Now, Hulk winds up being the first person that tries to do it. And he does he actually gets them there, but he can't figure out how to make it work exactly the way that it needs to work. That's when Tony comes back to reality. And
because he didn't want, he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to get into it because if they went back, he has a daughter, by the way. Now. Right. Because he like, if I go back, then what happens to my daughter? We're going back to get the stone. So, we're going back that messes with the future.
Right.
So he like, is my daughter going to be okay? So say we do, So that's why he wasn't in for it in the beginning. His daughter kind of.
He didn't really want to lose what he already had.
What he already had.
Right, with his daughter and his wife now being married.
Right.
So when Ant-Man assured him that it would not change anything, just as long as they did not change anything in the past.
Right.
Just get the stones and get out. Get the stones and get out. So it's all 5 stones they have to get to get out with going back in time. And we find out as they break it down, it goes into groups of the Avengers that will go to different locations and will regain the stones. Now, one of the things also that we see is that Tony and now
you said 5 stones. It's actually 6.
6 stones. I'm sorry, I thought it was 6 stones. Yeah, but Tony and
I don't remember how. I can't tell you details.
Tony and the Hulk. No, Tony and the Hulk get together and they figure out, because Tony knows exactly what that small little piece is that is going to make them all be able to go and come back at the same time. But they have to be able to do everything very quickly without interfering in history.
Right.
So it won't change, and then if they were to change it, they would not be able to come back.
Right.
Whoever changed it.
So he put it where they could come back.
Right.
As long as they grab the stones and come back.
Now they all have only one attempt also to be able to do this. So they have to be accurate the first time. They can't screw it up. Right.
But the only reason why Tony Stark ended up coming back is because he's seen a picture of him and Little Spider-Man.
Right.
So he's like, he owed it to the kid because the kid really looked up to him. So he was willing to fix what had happened.
He wanted to bring Spider-Man back.
Little Spider-Man. Because that was family to him as well. So that's why he originally had changed around.
Exactly. So now we go into where Black Widow and Hawkeye will get together and they will reunite because they have to do their mission of getting one of the stones back. So now Hawkeye goes to the Avengers and is now wanting to be part of this mission. He doesn't know exactly what the mission is. He just knows he's being called to come back and join the Avengers, the remaining Avengers, to be able to do this. We also get the introduction now totally to, after she saved Tony, she comes in and after saving different planets, as she put it during We get to see Captain Marvel, and she now is going to be able to help a lot, as we find out in this movie. Even though she's gone for a majority of the movie, it winds up being that she plays a key integral part as it gets closer towards the end, as far as being able to help the Avengers turn and make this a win for them to bring back all the Avengers that died. Well, not necessarily died, they just went into a different
alternate
universe, and along with the other half of the Earth. So the funny part of the movie, and I'm just, it doesn't have anything to do with how they work on this, is Thor is such a mess.
Oh my goodness.
Thor puts on some weight. He looks like my beer drinking buddy here with the beer belly and everything. And he is hilarious as just basically a down to earth king now that is living on Earth. Didn't go back home at all. He just figured he'd have his little kingdom and everything.
But I'm going to go back a little bit. The reason why Thor got fat and what happened was they actually found Thanos, Captain Marvel, Iron Man, or the Major Iron Man.
No, the Major.
It was the Major. It was Captain Marvel, Thor. Damn. They had found Thanos.
Correct.
And they actually ended up killing him.
Right.
But
Thor beheaded him.
Yeah, Thor beheaded him. Thor cut his head off. But he had destroyed the stones.
Right.
So he said, like, we don't know if it was. He said he destroyed the stones with the stones.
Right. I skipped a major part there. Yeah.
Yeah. So we
they actually found him where he had gone to,
which was the garden or something. That's
right.
The garden. They had found him in the garden. So they was trying to. When he snapped his fingers, he sent him to an alternate universe, and they needed the stones to bring everybody back. But Thanos said that he destroyed the stones with the stones.
Right,
so now
because the stones were destroying him.
The stones
which you could see his face had been.
So they actually found him, and they were going to try to reverse what he did, but he destroyed the stones because he said the stones were killing him or whatever it was. So he destroyed them. So they kind of lost hope because they
nobody knew where the stones were.
Nobody knew where the stones were because they knew where they were. He destroyed them. So now they had no hope in bringing anybody back because the stones are now destroyed. So that's what made them need to go into the future in the first place, because they needed to
to be able to get the stones
back
in order to be able to reverse everything.
Right.
Yeah. So that was also an early part there.
Right. So I had to rewind
because they had lost hope. That's where Thor now has lost hope and become this little kingdom guy.
That drinks a lot of beer.
That drinks a lot. But also at the same time, most of the Avengers really were kind of out of it, and that's why Tony was out of it also, because he couldn't get there. The ship died on him. He has no hope left on him either.
Because he was losing oxygen.
Right. So you basically have the majority of the remaining Avengers, except for Captain America and Black Widow, who were more determined to do something about this than the rest of them, even though everybody comes on board.
Right. But Black Widow, who's played by Scarlett Johansson, she's the one that brought the Avengers back. When everybody lost hope, she stepped in as the kind of the lead of the group. Right,
exactly.
Yeah, she the one that got the group back and put hope back into them, which was good to see her character play, because she always was a solo person. She always wanted to do everything on her own.
Exactly.
Which the Avengers became her family.
Right.
So
let's go to now, as we go in here, remember now that Hulk is also now, he is now both Dr. Banner as well as the Hulk. figured out a way to balance the Hulk and him together. So you have a big green banner instead. And he calls himself Professor now. Okay. And so that is kind of fun to see him as a smart Hulk instead. He calls himself the new improved Professor Hulk.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the funny parts in that is that he's now such a big celebrity with the remaining people on Earth that when he's in this diner eating pancakes, some kids come up and see him and they want to get his autograph and get a picture and everything. But Ant-Man's with him, and nobody knows who Ant-Man is or cares about who Ant-Man is, even though Ant-Man is going to be the one that decides how they really save the Earth. But it's a great scene, seeing Professor Hulk and Banner pulls this off just perfectly. As being both of them. So now let's take a trip back to 2014 to get the beginning of the Guardian movie, which basically Nebula also plays a key part here, because you're going to see both Nebulas. You're not going to see one Nebula. You're going to see both of them appear, the good and the bad.
But the future Nebula versus the past.
Right, exactly. So when the Avengers actually return to the alternative universe, the bad one still exists, and the good one has gone to recapture the stone with, I believe it is Hawkeye, isn't it? With Hawkeye's with Black. So she's with what's his name from the Guardians of the Galaxy. She is with
the Rockman or the blue guy. Who's the blue guy?
The guy that loves the 70s music, 70s and 80s music, and I'm trying to think of. I can't think of his name.
Sorry that we're forgetting names. It's like this. It's so, like the movie is 3 hours, but it's a good 3 hours. It's a really lot that goes on in this movie that.
But as I mentioned, she is with him now. The leader who's always got the glasses on, and I can't think of his name. But if you've seen both Galaxy movies, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He's always calling himself the leader, where Dave Bautista always likes to think of himself being the leader, and that's always a fun banter back and forth. But let's go back to now Nebula. So you're going to see both of them. You're going to see the good and the bad, but also at the same time, you're going to see now, and this is now where we're beginning to start saying there's some holes in here. Now, remember, we all know that when Thanos snaps his finger and the person actually dies, he cannot be returned, even though all these people were sent to an alternative universe. We know that what's her name dies.
Thanos sacrificed his daughter,
right?
Which was I gotta get her name. Yeah, because that was Thanos.
Gamora, that's it.
Yeah, he sacrificed Gamora, and they said that once you sacrifice, that the person can't come back.
Right.
But by them going back, she came back. Which
was kind of interesting because she's there, but she also understands that there's two nebulas now, and she's conflicted because she hated her sister back then, and she still hates the sister now, but she sees the good side of her sister. So which side does she want to choose when they go back to start getting the stone? So this is one of our first ones here, where now she has to decide who to help on that, but also at the same time, she's back alive now, which we were told in the previous movie that she should have stayed dead.
Right.
Technically, unless you were in this alternate universe that Thanos had sent you to.
But Thanos died too, though. So by them going back, I could see why they both came back.
Right. So they had to have.
They had to be able to
bring them both back.
Right.
Although I would have figured they'd just bring Thanos back instead of both of them because they're going back into the future to try to stop him.
Yeah, but
now
remember they were with him in the beginning, like that's his daughters. He raised them. So.
Right. But that was the other part is they're now also Thanos is now back. You're back in the future with Thanos, or back in the past with Thanos, and they were told not to try to alter anything. But if they know that Thanos is going to get the stones, why not go ahead and kill Thanos before he goes after him? But that won't reverse anything because they still have to gain all the stones anyway.
Right, because they're trying to hide them.
Right. So they are trying to gather them for themselves to be able to reverse everything that Thanos did. So you have a couple of weird things in that area there. So again, it's the gauntlet that they have to get the stones for in order to be able to do the snap to be able to reverse everything. And so Thanos now knows from
Nebula, because you got the past and the future Nebula. They're both robots. So what happened was they're on a mission and Nebula interferes with past Nebula interferes with future Nebula. So they see a vision of them going to get the stones, which shows Thanos knowing that they're coming to get the stones, which makes the movie have a really twisted turn because they alter the past because now he knows.
Right.
So now he knows that they're coming to get the stone because of Nebula's past.
Yep.
Past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're in the past.
They're in the past.
Looking for it. Right.
And now it's just if you guys haven't seen it, you need to see it. If you guys have seen it, then you know where we're going with this.
Okay. So she is looking for the stones with the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxies, but now the evil Nebula it has a glitch that's going on, so it allows Thanos to be able to see what's going on behind the scenes. And that's the only way that Thanos actually knows about it is because of this glitch all of a sudden showing the vision of it, and he has his other daughter to be able to work on it where they can see everything now that is gone in the past. In other words, remember they started the beginning of the movie out in the fields with the daughter. They go into seeing the Tony Stark Foundation with the Black Widow and seeing what they're all talking about to be able to come and get the stones. And now that they're there at the stones, they're able to see the two of them conversing in their area to get the stone. So they now are able to plot to try to get back by planting her as the good Nebula.
Okay, yeah. So
even though
they caught the future Nebula and sent the past Nebula to stop them from getting the gauntlet and the stones.
Right.
Which who had it? It was Hawkeye.
Right.
Was it Hawkeye?
No.
It was Hawkeye. Because he was running when he realized that it wasn't the Nebula that he knew.
Right. No, it was
Hawkeye.
Was it Hawkeye?
Yeah. Because he shot the arrow, remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he realized that it wasn't her. So he started running and he kind of protected the gauntlet from Thanos getting it. Right. Because he sent Nebula to.
Right. But that's even further down the road there during the battle you're talking about.
Yeah.
So now we go into everybody. We get into the area where everybody's now gathering stones. Okay. So we now go back into
in 6 groups.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
6 groups.
6 groups. So they now are going back into time, and if you followed every single Avenger movie, you'll know exactly where the stones are that they have to go to. You have Doctor Strange stone. You have
I'm gonna skip the list of the stones.
Oh, okay.
Which was the time stone, I want to say, right?
Right.
So you have the. Let me get this. I kind of know him, but I don't know the actual name.
And by the way, we also know and are reminded that mortals cannot contain the power of the Infinity Stone.
All right, so the Infinity Stones are the Power Stone, the Space Stone. I think that's what. No, he don't got the Space Stone. The Reality Stone, the Soul Stone, the Time Stone, and the Mind Stone. And Doctor Strange has the Time. The Mind Stone was the guy with that had it in his head.
Right. I can't think of his name.
I can't think about his name. But who had the Power Stone? I want to. Wasn't it the red girl? I can't think about her name right now.
Oh, I can't think of her name. Yeah. Because she comes into the battle also.
Ooh, I think she is one really, really powerful person, and I really enjoy seeing her power. Like in the comics, I don't think they exercise her power as well or as they did in the movie.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all.
So that was the stone. I'm trying to get a list of who has all the stones. So Loki had the Mind Stone. It was in his scepter.
Right.
Aether has the Reality Stone. It's the Reality Stone grants the power to manipulate matter.
Right.
Then you have the Power Stone, which was hidden in their vault. Remember?
Right.
The Time Stone, which is Doctor Strange.
Right.
You have the Soul Stone, which is the soul that you have to sacrifice somebody.
That's where Black Widow.
Black Widow, yeah.
Right. By the way, the person, Peter Quill, is the person that was with Gamora when Thanos finds out about their plot. And he is the leader of the Guardians.
Right. So the Space Stone was in a Tesseract. Aether had a Reality Stone. The Mind Stone was Shatari's Scepter. No, because that can't be right. They're trying to say that it was so because they. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but So I apologize about that, guys. Trying to figure out who actually carries each of the stones, but I can't. The Mind Stone, I don't know his name.
I can't think of his name either. All I can see is the face.
The face, and he ended up dying and never coming back to this movie.
Right. He didn't even come back and fight in the final battle at all.
So okay, we're gonna continue. Again, apologize about not, just so much going on.
Right. The movie really is in depth. They try to cover
everything,
and this is the reason why it's 3 hours and 5 minutes long. The hard part that you find at times is they go in such depth that you understand where they're going with this to be able to bring everybody back, but at the same time you're trying to pick out certain things for every single character that they have in there that is still left over, and how this whole movie is going to break down to where each of them do something to be able to bring them back or save the universe or whatever is going to happen in Endgames. Now, obviously, we already know that because in the previous movie, how it ended and everything is that they have to try to do something to bring everybody back because they all have lost somebody close to them. And they know that the sacrifice for themselves in this movie could mean their death, even just to bring back their friends.
Right.
So it's kind of a win-win or lose-lose type of situation for them. And this was the reason why a lot of people felt Tony, because of his mind and his ability to build, create.
Well, I'm gonna tell you why I felt like it was Tony. I felt like it was Tony because he was stuck in space and based on trailers and him doing that projection and talking to his helmet.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like he said more than they showed to the helmet. Like he was, because he was talking in the helmet and
as if he's going to die in space. As if he's
going to die. So right. I feel like what they showed us is way more in the helmet than they actually showed us in the movie, which they didn't want to get into total,
right?
You know, because they end up showing it even. I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but they even showed it in the end when he was talking to his daughter,
right?
So when he was in space,
right?
So it's more in there than we see.
Right. So this brings another hole all of a sudden is we already know he's going to die. Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty much as the movie keeps on going, because Captain America and Iron Man have always been the two leaders. They came together and they built the Avengers. Okay.
Well, they didn't build it.
Well, yeah, in a sense, they developed what everybody's particular power or ability was, formed the Avengers. Okay. Tony and Captain America were the first two leaders in the Avengers, or Captain America naturally from back in World War II Tony with modern technology.
Because all of them got some type of had some type of really strong bond with somebody.
Correct.
Because Tony Stark was cool with Bruce Banner.
His dad was the one that turned around and basically developed everything that was going on to allow Tony to be able to do
his dad knew Captain America.
Yeah, his dad knew the people that made Captain America. He helped them make Captain America. Right. But Tony, during this movie, you'll see things that are revealed by his dad as Tony's memory going back into what his dad did.
All right, but we gotta go back. So, because you were saying that Thanos found out about the Infinity
Right. So Thanos finds out about the Infinity. So we now have Tony's daughter. We also have Hawkeye's family, and we also have now these two building blocks where both Hawkeye now wants to get his family back because he lost them, but Tony doesn't want to lose his family that is developed out of this whole process. At the same time, you have Captain America, because Tony and Captain America have been real close. Captain America, if you recall, left his love life back into the 40s to be able to become an Avenger and do the things that the U.S. Well, at that time, America, Captain America, but to be able to help the U.S. forces, basically, for being able to defeat evil in the world for whatever purposes. But he was kind of he's with Fury, who keeps him really out of the spotlight in a sense, but also at the same time, a lot of people know about Captain America because he used it as a poster to be able to get more people to join the armed forces as well. So let's go to now. Each person is gone in there. Thor goes back to his place in search of wanting to talk to his mother, who has died. And he gets a chance now, going back in time, to be able to talk to her. But at the same time, he gets distracted for getting the stone. Thank goodness his mother knows already the reason why Thor is there, and pushes Thor towards concentrating and getting the stone. And this is kind of an interesting twist in the plot, because she already knows, even though this is the future Thor coming into the past Thor and running into his mother. We also have Tony getting the stone from Doctor Strange's, I guess that's mentor, or is that?
No, it was the Hulk that you could get it, because remember she knocked Hulk so.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
it was the Hulk.
Yeah, it was the Hulk.
His mentor was his mentor, because she held the stone at first.
Right, held the stone originally.
Right.
So that was Strange's mentor, and I can't think of her name either.
Yeah, I can't think of her name.
But it's in the amulet that she wears, and eventually she sees the reason behind what everything has to be.
Paul told her that he gave it up and that it was captured, so he wouldn't, she didn't go into depth. It's just that she was he willingly gave it up, so it had to been a reason that he gave that stone up,
right?
Which it was.
Gave up, right?
It was, because Thanos was about to kill somebody,
right? Right.
And he ended up giving the stone up, so she ended up putting the soul back into the Hulk and giving the Hulk the stone so that he could return it back, because he informed her on a mission, and she controlled it, so obviously she must have seen that coming anyway. Right. So yeah. So they all retrieved their stone. No, we got wait a minute. So he retrieved the time stone. They had a test. They who was it? Captain America and Iron Man got the two stones. There was 2-1. They got the space stone.
They got Loki's.
This was the space and the reality. No, it wasn't real. Okay, so the reality stone was the stone that the Ray girl has. She has the reality stone.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it said. Was it the power? No, it wasn't the power stone. Wasn't the time. They got the space, and they got because the space stone was in a tesseract, which Loki had. There we go. Gotta get the name. All right, so they end up capturing their two stones. Not neither here or there. I can't think about the.
Right. Everyone completes their mission basically to be able to get it.
But one thing that was a tearjerker for me is Hawkeye. Sorry. Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Right.
Was trying to get, well, not trying, they needed to get the Soul Stone.
Right.
Which the Soul Stone, you needed to sacrifice something you love. So, it's two of them. It's Black Widow and it's Hawkeye. And to sacrifice something you love, we both know that they have been friends for a long time.
Right.
We don't know the depth of their relationship, but we do know that they were friends before the Avengers formed.
Right. And the spirit that they had to get it from.
The spirit said you had to sacrifice one you love. So, they go to get the stone, and they are fighting to figure out which one is going to die, because one of them needs to die because they need a sacrifice. The one thing that was kind of mind blowing to me, and it's probably is you had to sacrifice. So neither one of them sacrificed. She kind of, they were fighting to see who was going to die.
Right.
So they're tussling, battling, or whatever, and Black Widow ended up killing herself. But that's not a sacrifice. That's you attempting suicide.
Suicide, right.
So that's
I guess it basically it was a race who would jump off the cliff
first. Yeah. But I would say it's kind of a sacrifice, and it's not, because at the end of the day, he did try to help her, and she said at the end, just let go.
Right.
And she did kick off.
And that's the sacrifice.
That's the sacrifice, because he did try to help her. That's what I can see kind of happening.
Right.
Is they took that as a sacrifice because he didn't
want
willingly,
it. Right.
But it still was a sacrifice nonetheless.
Right. Exactly.
So he held her hand, and she said, "Just let go, it's fine."
Right.
So, and she kicked off, and they fell. So I guess they could look at that as a sacrifice. So that's the only thing I could see.
That's the sacrifice.
That's the sacrifice.
Because he doesn't. He still is wanting to sacrifice himself and save her.
Right.
All the way to the end until she finally convinces him just let go, because both of them will go over basically if he doesn't let go at the edge of the cliff. So with that happening, now we know she's definitely dead, having gone back into the past.
Right. So
and he gets the stone and comes back.
So again, everybody does get their stone. So now we have the 6 stones.
Now we have our first death also.
Yeah, first death. That's first death. Yeah. First death was Black Widow. Wasn't what everybody thought. Y'all said Iron Man. Nope.
Right. His first death is actually her. So that becomes the death. Okay. Now, once they all get back with the stone, now we got the fake Nebula, the evil one. Yeah, because who is now infiltrated.
They got the gauntlet, and they had all the stones on there. So now the fake Nebula is there to retrieve it for Thanos.
Right.
Because he
to bring Thanos actually in. Right. To be able to retrieve it.
Oh, she did bring him in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Thanos' sidekick, I guess the wizard, or I guess whatever you would determine him to be, but I would call him Thanos' wizard, because he has powers, but he only uses them when he feels he needs to actually use the. So she did end up bringing them in there, through the machine, right? Right. And actually, everyone attached to Thanos comes in.
Yeah.
His basic immediate family. So now we got them in there. The Avengers are putting the glove together and everything, putting the stones in the right place. They look it up to make sure that they got the stones in the right place. And they know that only one person can do this. And Tony's trying to say that it should be him. Hulk is saying, no, a human can't do this because they can't live through it. So now, basically, what happens now is the rival of the undead is what they're trying to do.
But wait a minute, because Hulk snapped his hand first, and it ended up hurting him. So what did he do?
He brings back the undead.
Oh, he did end up reversing it with what he had.
Right.
So okay.
Yeah, Thanos wants to get it, but Hulk puts the gauntlet on and snaps his finger
to bring everybody.
Right, because first it was just the living Avengers that were left, and Thanos brings his army, remember, through that porthole after they find out that they've been betrayed and everything. So the sister kills the evil one, Nebula. Right?
Did she kill her in the beginning? No, that was during the fight.
Yeah, during the fight, she kills the bad one and helps the good one. Okay, because the bad one wants to go off her. So now the battle is on. Okay, Thanos is thinking that he is going to get the stone because he doesn't have the gauntlet yet. The Hulk has it and everything. And Thanos is saying, we're going to take it from you. And all of a sudden, Hulk snaps his finger, and all the Avengers and all the undead, all of a sudden, one by one, went through Doctor Strange, and it
was Doctor Strange. It was Black Panther. It was
Wong and Doctor Strange and the other wizards all have that porthole to be able to jump him into the position to do the battle against Thanos. So now the battle rages, obviously. And Thanos Ant-Man has become now no longer Ant-Man. He just becomes the big Ant-Man and basically steps on people, squishes them. The battle, you see Black Panther is basically who actually leads the charge into the battle for everybody that has come back. So the gauntlet is now on still on Hulk, but
no, Hulk won't have it on.
He is because of the strength of the gauntlet. He can no longer tolerate the power and the pain. So he takes it off, and so now it's got to be carried. And the first person is Hawkeye, I believe.
They carried it. He was running. I don't even know who the first one was.
I believe it was him.
Yeah, because it was Hawkeye. Because he the one that knew that Nebula was the bad one.
Right.
So he was the first one running, which it ended up in the hands of
Black
Panther.
It winds up in Black Panther. Then I believe it's
Little Spider-Man.
Then Captain America.
Or was it Captain America?
Then Spider-Man. Yeah, it was Captain America.
Then Spider-Man.
And then Tony winds up confronting Thanos in the battle here because Spidey winds up getting Captain America gets overwhelmed by Thanos because remember Thanos chops down
his shield.
Okay. So with him just about ready to be taken, Thanos is able to get the glove from Captain America.
Because she ended up getting the glove too from little Spider-Man. Because he's like, how are you going to get through? And
I don't think she had it.
She had it.
Did she?
Yeah, she ended up getting it because she was the one that was going to run through. And it was all the women that helped her get through. It was the Black Panther, the girl from Black Panther. It was Iron Man's wife. It was Captain Marvel. It was why can't I get her name? The red girl that I like so much.
I don't know.
Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch.
I don't know if that's
Scarlet something.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
But she was there, and it was women's power. Mm-hmm. There was all the women that helped her get through. But she never made it through because Thanos ended up stopping her, and he ended up putting the glove on, which created a tussle with
Tony. Right. But before all that, here's something that is cool. Tony runs into Captain Strange, runs into Doctor Strange, and Tony asked him, "Is this where we win?"
Remember, if I tell you that it won't hit, then it won't
happen. But he gives Tony the finger. Okay, not the middle one, but the number one finger, and that's when he says 1 chance in 14 million for victory that he is foreseen in Avengers Infinity War. Okay, and Stark then realizes what he has to do when he says that. So Tony, unbeknownst to everyone that's watching this movie all through this time, has actually developed a way to be able to get the glove from Thanos in case if it ever came to that. And it does come to that. Only thing is, remember, Tony's a human, even though he's still inside the suit. We just figured that he's strong enough to be able to withstand anything through that suit, even though we have seen that suit fall apart many a times and everything. But if it's contained and whole like it was throughout this whole battle, he's still totally in his suit. So Tony, as soon as Thanos puts the glove on and is getting ready to look like he's going to snap the finger, Tony grabs his hand, and you think that he's pulling his thumb back to be able to keep him from snapping it. But what Tony's doing in actuality is the rig that he had set up, his gauntlet that he has on his hand, now is able to pull off the gauntlet that's on Thanos' hand that goes onto Tony's hand, and they swap gauntlets, which we just think he grabs the stones because it looks like it's part of his armor and everything, but he's actually swapped the whole gauntlet with the stones in it. And Thanos realizes that he no longer has the stones, and Thanos is ready to strike, and Tony turns around and snaps his finger.
Because Thanos snapped his finger and said, "I am inevitable."
Right, I mean, inevitable. Right.
And he snapped his fingers, but nothing happened.
Right.
So he looked at the glove and he realized that he didn't have the stone.
Right.
So Iron Man looks up and say, "I am Iron Man," snaps his fingers, and now all of the troops and everything that Thanos has brought, they are now in the alternate universe that he sent all them to.
Right. So at the same time, remember now, Tony has the gauntlet on, and you can see his reaction to the power of it.
Yeah, because his whole body got completely
destroyed. You see that it's starting to blacken and everything. So Tony wearing the Infinity Gauntlet now, sadly, because he's still the human body inside there, we learned that mortals cannot contain the power of the Infinity Stones. Even the Hulk and Thanos, remember from before, and Hulk in the current movie have suffered injuries, serious injuries, really. So even with the armor suit, the power surge was too much, and Tony naturally fades away and dies in it. So now Tony is dead. Spidey is basically wrought with tears and wants him to be able to be brought back somehow, and everything. And at the same time, all the Avengers are there now, realizing what has happened and that Tony is no longer there. So they go back. When they go back in time to have gotten the Infinity Stones, Captain America reunites with his love lost.
Because he went back to go place the stones back.
Right.
But he didn't come back.
Right.
He didn't come back because
all the stones are returned back to their original
place before Thanos got them.
Right.
And he didn't come back because he wanted to live his life.
Right.
But
5 seconds later, he's back.
He's back, and he's 100 years old or whatever.
Yeah, whatever his age is, yeah. Because he started from the 1940s, and they finally have the promise dance that he promised Peggy Carter, which we know from the original Captain America, the first Avenger. That was
his first love.
Right, that was his first love. And he stays there, marries, and winds up having 2 kids now. Okay, now we don't know this part of it, but it was speculation in the movie because of the way he talks and the way he acts.
Right.
But we know as a spoiler that he does have these kids, and even though we see him talking to Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon, his best buddy, remember Chris, is still there also with him. And Captain America, though, instead of choosing Chris, chooses Sam to be the next Captain America, or at least saying, "Here, this is yours now as Captain America."
Or basically to watch it and he find the next Captain
America. Or either
because he's a Falcon.
Right.
So why would they
have him? So there's another.
So maybe he's the Falcon that's going to watch the shield until the kids grow up.
Right, possibly, yeah.
Or until he feels though they find the next person that's capable of being Captain America.
Correct.
They do have a funeral for Iron Man, though.
By the way, yes, Spidey is there.
Yeah, Spider-Man, his daughter.
Everyone, basically, all the Avengers are there.
They didn't have a funeral for, and I'm kind of disappointed. Black Widow, they didn't have one for.
No, because she was, as they said, how did they put it? She died, but it was not, I forget how they came upon it. determining that she does not get the funeral where Tony does get the funeral.
Well, I mean, obviously it had Tony's body and didn't have hers.
Right,
actually,
right.
But
they didn't have anything to be able to, so she's in the past, they didn't have any way to bring her remembrance back. So I think that's basically how they determined it on that. Now, the big area here is that with Captain America now, basically, I guess 90, 80 years old, with the shield that he's been given away. Also, with the snap of the finger and bringing everybody back and sending Thanos back into oblivion, Spider-Man now is a high school student, even though they are 5 years into the future.
5 years into the future, mm-hmm. He was in high school 5 years in the past.
Right.
So I don't know what high school he goes to, but just
he should be in college by now at least. If not out.
He was in college for in high school for 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So you see him reuniting with his best friend in the high school and everything. So that's kind of an interesting thing. How can he wind up being in high school still when they're 5 years into the future on that? With Tony being dead, you kind of start seeing the things that are coming to happen. So the Guardians of the Galaxy leave Valkyrie behind as the new leader as the Asgardians.
Oh yeah, Valkyrie was there. She's the one that helped Captain Marvel get through too.
Right,
okay,
right.
She was there too. Valkyrie was there.
Right. So, by the way, and this is another thing, if anybody knows or can figure it out, Captain America is able to handle Thor's what the heck is it?
His hammer.
Yeah, his hammer. Yeah, his hammer is the best way to describe it. Thor has a new weapon, which is.
But he knew it the whole time
right.
He knew because he's the only one that budged that hammer. And
right.
I think that Captain America didn't list it to basically for Thor. So
for Thor, it boosts his ego. Yeah.
Like
but he was able to lift it, but he has the same power as Thor to be able to just put his hand out, and the hammer comes to him.
Because the hammer only comes to those who are, I cannot figure the word out.
Pure of heart, sort of.
Like pure of heart is just like basically capable. Like you have to be capable of the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
That even though they kept saying that was Thor's source of his power,
right?
So it's kind of crazy.
But you see, the new hammer gives him even more power, right? So
I don't know. It's the source of his power, but Captain
America freaks everybody out in the theater by all of a sudden having the hammer come to him. Also, a little weird thing that happens here is that Thor, who is finally coming to terms with his responsibility for Asgard, he decides to leave off with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
But if you know anything about the comic books, Thor actually has it's called I read this comic book a long time ago. Well, I heard about it, I should say. But Thor actually has a group in space called the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, what they'll eventually be called is Asgardians of the Galaxy.
But that's what they were called.
Okay, so that is the actual new name of the comic book series that Marvel launched.
But if you look at this, all the Asgardians of the Galaxy have power. So we're trying to figure out how they want to incorporate.
Right, exactly.
Because he left with the Galaxy of the Guardians, which they don't have.
Which Peter Quill is the leader, but also you have Batista, you have Gamora now,
Nebula
there,
Groot,
right? The raccoon, and Groot naturally. So you have everybody that's there together now, but Thor is with them. So obviously this is going to be something that we'll be looking for. And as they call it, what they do is they're going to, but rather than Gamora going through, and the chances are that what they're going to do is they're going to track her down, track down the evil Nebula. I'm not
No, they killed the evil Nebula. They killed her.
They killed her. Okay.
They killed her.
Okay, so let me see. I'm trying to figure out here. I'm just looking at something real quick here.
Yeah, they killed her. The sister killed her and was going to the past
Right.
or the future nebula and said, "So is this who I end up dating?" Remember?
Right.
Because she's trying to get her. Do we become friends? And all of that. She started asking her, and she basically gave her knowledge of what was going on.
Right. So basically, everything as we start breaking down things here is very first sequel or something part of going out of this is Spider-Man Far From Home, which the trailer, if anybody's had a chance to look at the trailer, you can see that Peter is still dealing with the loss of Iron Man. Because Iron Man basically was like a father, mentor to him.
Mentor, because he had his Aunt May and his uncle.
His uncle, right?
Yeah. But that is one of the upcoming movies that Marvel's coming out with is Spider-Man Far Away From Home. So if you guys haven't seen the trailer, you guys need to check it out.
You also have Loki now, who gets a second chance in life
because he did die, and they ended up
bringing him back too. But now Loki might wind up being on a Disney series instead of actually in the movie.
So that's another thing. I'm gonna go back to the mouse. I think that they put the mouse on to bring Ant-Man back as basically credit to Disney, who allows Marvel to use their studios and help them with the animation and everything. So I think the mouse was for Mickey Mouse and them, just for and I'm being serious. I think it was
a symbolization
of Disney.
Disney could be. That's an interesting way of looking at it.
Because I mean, it took a mouse to push a button, but it could, the science instead was working. None of them could to push the button and bring it back for the mouse. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't want to go into that.
Right.
For that.
Right. We also know now that Hawkeye was reunited with his family, and again because it's Disney was involved with this movie, they are possibly going to do a series with Hawkeye.
With Disney?
Yeah.
See, so is Disney trying to, or they want to buy a little bit of rights to Marvel? Maybe
it is possible because they've used their studios quite a bit
for as long as I know that they have used, but is they hitting more to that since Stan Lee died? Maybe
could be
because honestly they have good vision to I just hope they don't animate it too much because Disney is famous for the animation and even though that movie's turned out very, very well, but you also had Stan Lee, who mine was so. And
then Black Widow, we're gonna see her, but it'll be in backwards. It's not the future.
She actually has a movie coming out too in 2020, and in that movie you see a cameo of both Iron Man and Captain America. So
as themselves.
As themselves. So we don't know if it's the past Black Widow. I don't know.
We don't even know if she's in the Avengers yet.
Yeah, we don't. I don't know if they want to go back to how Hawkeye and her met, how she became a part of SHIELD. As they form in Avengers, but this maybe is another sequel that we could look forward to.
A prequel, basically,
So we probably see a lot more Iron Man
as cameos,
for her video, our movie coming
out. Movies also, and also we know that Wakanda now has their king back because of the snap of the fingers. So we know that.
Oh yeah, because he came back too.
So we know you're going to have another Black Panther.
No, they had come out with a Black Panther too. Again, the Bears pushed back to 2021. So they are in the makings of it. I believe. So Black Panther 2 is coming out in 2021. They don't have no actual release date yet, but they have started filming, I believe.
Now. This is one of the curious, and again, here we go with a black hole here on this. Now, remember, Black Panther has been gone for 5 years, even though you bring him back into the present. Who was king
or queen
during his absence?
The girl, what's his name? The one with the stick. Because remember when, as they were gone in the beginning of the Endgame, she was in that little. It was Major. It was Captain Marvel, and it was the girl with the stick. I can't think about her name, but they all came to talk to them about the missions that they had going on.
Right, but whoever it was, is the king, because it's stating in the spoiler that there possibly could be a battle for there. So whoever was in charge, are they going to be willing to give the throne back?
Well, I feel like yeah, that's something that I don't know, but I do know that while he was gone and as they were going back, that the girl with the stick, who's
the spear,
the spear, she was on a mission to figure out what to do next. Remember, she had said something about the water or the sea, and she wasn't. She left it alone, so I'm thinking they might do something with the sea, as far as Aquaman or something. I don't know. I don't know.
They done during this whole movie. We really don't know what's happened to. We know what's going on with the Avengers, what's going on with Thor's life on Earth in his little separate kingdom. We know what's happening to Hawkeye, that he lost his family. We know that Tony Stark gained a family. We know that Captain America wants to go back and start a family during this movie. We also know that that Black Widow gave the ultimate price and sacrificed herself. We also know that Iron Man has died. We know that Peter Parker is still there at the end of the movie, having been brought back. We also know that Hulk is now the Professor Hulk, and we also know that Ant-Man now will eventually play a big part, probably also in the Avengers too.
Yeah, so I don't know if they might. Do you think they would continue the Avengers now that Black Widow and Iron Man are dead?
Yeah, I think you're still going to have a piece of the Avengers, but I don't know how. As you mentioned with the Galaxy,
they lost Thor because he's now with the Galaxy.
As Guardians,
Okay, you lost Captain America because he's 100 years old.
Right, but he passed the
thing on, so they want to have
shield on.
We lost Black Widow.
Right.
We lost Iron Man. So that's 4 of the main characters.
The 2 biggest ones are gone. So you have a hole that is rather huge. And in the movie, it doesn't explain how this huge hole is going to be filled with these 2 big parts. And so let's speculate a little bit here. Will Iron Man's daughter now take over Iron Man because Iron Man's wife was rescued? Remember?
Yeah, but are they going to make a new Avengers, like a younger version, since all of them?
That's another one. It could be showing in the prequel.
Yeah, because you got Captain America who has kids, so are they going to have his blood, or they want to be as strong as him?
Well, word is that Captain America, whatever he had in him, is passed on to his 2 sons.
He got sons. Okay.
From what they're telling us now. This could change. These are all little spoilers that have kind of leaked out and everything, but they could change it to a son and a daughter.
Okay, so we got 2 kids. We don't know the sexes of the kids.
We know he's at least got 1 son.
Yeah, so we got 2 kids there. We have Iron Man who has a child.
Right, has a daughter.
We got Hawkeye with 2. He has a son and a daughter. So could that be the new Black Widow and Hawkeye?
Could be.
That would be interesting to see. So we don't know how that is, or will they continue the older Avengers and bring Ant-Man and Doctor Strange and Black Panther and have them all come into form with each other? Captain Marvel
plays a huge part because they're not even though she's there at the ending with the funeral. Once that funeral ends, we don't hear about anybody else there other than going directly into Captain America with Chris and Wilson in the end, where he finally passes it, and we know that Thor also goes off with the Guardians as he departs. So you have a lot of speculation on where they can go. It obviously means that Marvel is got a lot of movies to come in.
To come in, they do. They actually have a couple movies coming. They have that's going to kind of go into that. We have a Doctor Strange 2, which is in 2021. So that's going to talk a little bit more about Doctor Strange.
Right. I can't wait to see that one because they really go into depth with him.
Yeah. So the Black Widow that's coming out in 2021. We got Black Panther 2. We have Doctor Strange. So we don't know where that's going to take part at. How is that going to affect where the Avengers were? We don't know if it was
where the end of the game.
We don't know where that's
right.
Going. So that's some movies that I'm looking forward to seeing. That's dealing with the Avengers and going into
I think Spider-Man will tell us.
Oh, they have Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man.
Which will be next year.
Yeah. No, Spider-Man actually.
Oh, this year, this summer. That's right.
July 5th.
So I think we'll see quite a bit of what this might lead us towards a little bit.
Because that comes out July 5th.
Right.
So make sure you guys will watch that.
And then they have a new person that is not part of the Avengers.
The green guy, the Spider-Man?
No, the karate guy.
Oh, Shang-Chi. I personally have never heard of Shang-Chi. I did a little research on him, and I do know that he was in one of the comic books about the Avengers. It was a special edition that came out December of 1973.
For all you people that are martial art fans, if you've had a chance to go back in history and see one of the original martial artists that were specifically done as a major movie and series, it's Bruce Lee. And this is based on kind of the abilities of Bruce Lee being a master at many arts in combat, in martial arts, that is.
But Shang-Chi...
but also has some superpower, doesn't he?
He can replicate himself, so that they said. So I never heard of it, but that's something that he originally, from what I researched, did not have any of those powers, but he ended up developing them.
So when somehow came across them.
And we don't have a release date for the Shang-Chi movie yet. They
or even when they're going to start filming. They're going to base it on the comic, apparently.
Yeah. So if you guys want to do a little bit of research about him, that's all I really know about him. He was taught by his father. He can manipulate himself. He's a master of combat, and he appeared in the Avengers comic book back in 1970.
Right. And we already know that Thor will be with the rest of the guys in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, due to come out to theaters also.
Oh yeah, I did hear they were coming out with Galaxy, Guardian of the Galaxy 3.
Right. So that should be coming out.
So
I think towards the end of the year, probably.
This year?
Yeah, I believe so. I think that's when they're supposed to. If not end of this year, then it'll be early next year for it.
So another up and coming movie that's coming out in July, right after Spider-Man. Oh no, actually before Spider-Man, actually June 7th, we have Dark Phoenix, who if you're an X-Men fan, you know about the Phoenix. So they want to talk a little bit more about Jean Grey and how she became with the X-Men, and how the Phoenix ended up being, how the Phoenix actually ended up controlling her. I think they start talking about that Phoenix wasn't in her when she was little. It ended up coming with her because she was somebody's mind. So it's somebody that got in her mind.
Right.
So they want to talk a little bit more about that. So that's actually interesting to see. And they do have a trailer out for that as well. And they also have a new movie coming out called The New Mutants, which comes out August 2nd. And
Oh,
Based
okay.
on the trailer, I can't even tell you what that movie is about. To me, they need to make a new trailer because that trailer tells me nothing. It doesn't even get me interested in watching it, and that's just me being honest. I really would not go watch it based on that.
Right.
Based on Marvel, and I love Marvel, I would go see it. But if I'm somebody that knows nothing about Marvel and you want me to see that trailer and go see it, I would not go see it.
Right. Now, also, real quickly, as we get ready to go into Spidey's new movie this summer, Happy Hogan, if you remember in The Funeral, and also in the back when Tony first wouldn't let Spidey-Man in because he was just a kid, but eventually we know that Tony took him under his wings and everything. Happy Hogan starts to now come back into the picture with Spider-Man, especially in this new movie.
Happy Hogan is the friend of.
It's a friend of Tony.
Kind of like his bodyguard.
Right. Fury assigned him
So,
to be kind of a bodyguard, make sure that he got his assignments per Tony Stark allowing him.
Yeah, but was it more of a bodyguard for the wife and the wife, or was it more of a bodyguard for Tony?
Just basically to let
watch
Tony watch over him and let Tony know what was going on. So basically, he steps in there, becomes a father figure to Morgan Stark as well,
which is Tony's daughter.
Right, and but we'll find out possibly in the Spidey movie if Pepper Potts, which is his wife, how much he's grieving. I don't know exactly because the trailer really doesn't go into depth. It just gives you a flash of Tony Stark on a poster.
It was really nice to see on combat. It was nice. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and to see that Happy asks Spidey, "You really miss him, don't you?" And he replies on that. So that's where that continues there. So you'll see him. We'll probably see some cameos with Tony Stark in there.
From the helmet.
From there. And also we have to find out what happens to Tony's Stark Industries too. It didn't explain, the ending didn't explain anything about what happens to who's taking over, what's it going to do, will his wife take over, will the daughter take over corporation, who's in charge of all that. We believe that Pepper will take over it.
Because she's been there from day one, and she has watched the experiments. He's told her the experiments. So we know that she has knowledge of the suits. Because if you've seen that she was in combat, so she knows exactly how to use the suits. Now, do she know how to build them? I'm not sure. We don't know if her mind's there, but she's been around with him for so long that I don't doubt that she knows how to do it.
Now, another spoiler is possibly the person that goes by Ironheart,
which was in the comics.
Which was a comic that came out. And she worked on Tony's armor and was able to actually perfect it even better than he did. It is a woman, by the way, again. So we have two women that could possibly be taking over. Actually three, if his daughter.
So we don't know if that might be the daughter coming, because Ironheart, she is a girl, but she meets Iron Man though in the comics. So it has to be. To me, it would have to be Pepper because the daughter met her dad, but in the comic books, she's an older girl. But you know, Marvel is famous for having us gasping.
So it could wind up being her, which is basically she takes over because she knows that now she might be introduced to Pepper, in fact, or Pepper might seek her out. So that's it. Now the person that is actually the name of Ironheart is Riri Williams, R.I. Williams as Ironheart in the Marvel comic universe. And it was revealed that Tony Stark sustained serious injuries in Civil War II event, that he fell into coma, but not before making a copy of his consciousness, which was able to assist Riri and converse with other Marvel characters as a form of artificial intelligence. Basically what he was doing in the helmet, if we remember at the beginning of the movie.
Or they want to bring back Iron Man, because Iron Man's body was just on their heart.
Right.
So are they want to try to reconstruct the heart and bring Iron Man back?
But it's possible.
And basically give him a second chance.
Right.
But with that, okay, so then we'll have Iron Man back, but that still doesn't describe how we would get it.
Right. It all depends on which way Marvel decides to go. Go with it and everything.
If he assisted Riri with a subconscious self, then could he have put in the helmet or not something else because he knew it was going to happen, or he felt what he knew was going to happen. Because he thought he was dying anyway in space.
Exactly.
So
until Captain Marvel comes and saves him there. So we know that also at the end of the movie, we know that Hawkeye is passing his skills on to his daughter, and so he also has a son. Yeah, so if he teaches the daughter, more than likely, I would think the son is going to
they
learn.
didn't really get to the son. They showed the daughter. So I mean, you don't want to have a favorite child, and you don't want to think one child is more capable than the other. But I don't know how they're going to do that because he has two kids.
Right. So that, again, like I said, that might be in a Disney series, and you might see a movie spinoff, or you might just see the Disney series of the daughter doing everything. They're keeping that one pretty much hush-hush as well. So those are basically the areas that are there. So we also have, again, reminding everyone that Sam, who is Falcon, takes the shield. Captain America is not real definitive, other than saying this is yours now.
Right.
And so what does that mean? If he's got the kids, then is Falcon, that's Sam's character in Marvel. So
why would they take away a character that's there to make him Iron Man? Make him Captain America, so you kill off one person, or does he pass the Falcon to somebody? Right. But if he got kids, I feel like he's just holding the shield for the kids.
Right. And then also, as we see in the beginning of the movie, we now go from the beginning to the end real fast, which is Captain Marvel, who saves Tony on the brink of death in space, is now positioned as the most powerful superhero, too. Which she already displayed in the movie that she would be the most powerful one. But now she has military experience, years of heroism under her belt, plus a great deal of confidence. So is she the perfect fit to become the leader of the Avengers?
They have so many people that join them that I feel like it would be fair.
Right.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, I can see that too. So we have a whole universe out there that all the Avengers are kind of apart, but they're still as a group in areas. So I think we're going to find something that will bond them together again as either two separate groups, or one being in space and one being on Earth, I guess.
Well, if they do space, then Captain Marvel will be in space with
Thor.
So because she said she had stuff to do. That's why she didn't join the battle as much.
She makes a statement.
So if they do that, then would you have her and Thor controlling space and Falcon controlling Earth?
Right.
Because Captain Marvel passed that thing to him, and Captain Marvel being the one of the people that helped the Avengers keep going, because you lost Iron Man, so him casting that on, meaning he sees something in the Falcon to control the Avengers on Earth. Maybe?
Right.
I don't know.
Don't know. And then the other confusing part is Nebula has to kill herself off. The good Nebula has to kill off the bad Nebula. but at the same time,
did not alter the past.
it did not alter the past. So now that the version of time travel has been put forth in Endgame, does this mean that killing her past self also kills Nebula's present self, which we saw didn't happen? But how does this lead to emotional hurdles for her, and where does this put her in the next area? Does she become an Avenger? Does she have a spin-off movie? Or
considering that she, I don't think they thought too much of that.
Right. So as you can see, even though the movie ends and it's called Endgames, you really have a lot of holes that develop out of this whole Endgame. So
that's maybe why they're coming out with so many movies coming out, with the Doctor Strange, to the Black Panther, the Spider-Man. They're putting everybody that was in there, and that's why they have a Black Widow. So everybody that's in there, you got Spider-Man, who was connected to Iron Man.
Right.
And you've seen
Captain America connected to Iron Man.
Yeah, but Black Widow, you see a cameo of both of them.
Right.
So maybe that's where all these movies are going to. We have to wait till those movies come out.
In other words, by 2021, we should have an idea of what's going on with how everybody played an integral part to be able to come to end games. But at the same time, now they're going to be showing us their future, everything. But first thing I like to do is have Spidey graduate out of high school. Like you said, he's been in there for 10 years now.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe the high school for mutants and people with powers is different from high school for us. I don't know.
Right. Who knows? But that's pretty much the things that we came out of the movie that we saw. Myself, I feel they could have made it where you quit sitting there going, what does this mean? Or, why did this go in there? By the length of the movie, I think it would have been easier to figure out some things if they had brought it down to about 30 to 40 minutes less time.
I mean, the timing to me personally, I would have never wanted to go see a movie for 3 hours. If a movie is more than an hour and 15 minutes, I don't want to see it. So for me to
most of them are an hour and 20, hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's why I don't go to the movie. So for me to sit there for 3 hours and be entertained like I was, I want to give a kudos to Marvel, because for me, Stan Lee,
absolutely, and Stan Lee does appear in the movie, so
yeah, I did this.
Don't wonder. Okay,
rest in peace, Stan Lee.
Yes, thanks for Marvel too.
Thank
you. We love the comics. We loved everything that you did before you passed, and you made a lot of kids, boys and girls, and even young adults, all fans and everything. Yeah,
I grew up on X-Men. I grew up on Marvel. So another movie I didn't talk about was a movie called The Internals, which comes out in 2020.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know if we watched the trailer for that, so I can't even talk about it. I don't remember the trailer, but they do have a trailer out for it.
They have not started shooting. They don't have a writer to be able to complete it.
Okay, so that's why I didn't see it.
That's what happened is they have done some drawings and shots of what they would like to do, but they don't have a writer to be able to complete it.
All right.
They need a writer to be able to complete the story. They have the theory, I guess is the best way to put it.
Right. Okay. So one more thing I wanted to talk about for all people that are gamers. It's a game coming out, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which if you're familiar, the last game came back out in like 2007, 2008, back on PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, I believe. They're actually coming back with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, but it's an exclusive only for the Nintendo Switch. So if you're a Marvel Ultimate Alliance fan like myself, and you want to go ahead and go get the Switch, the release date for the game, the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, is July 19th. And me watching the gameplay, it's going to be around the Infinity Stones. You have a lot of new characters in there. You have Captain Marvel. You have Groot. You have the Galaxy of the Guardians. You have a lot of new characters in the game that weren't in the first two. So they have Wolverine and Nightcrawler, which that Wolverine has always been like the face of Ultimate Alliance because Ultimate Alliance is a game because you don't play games. So Ultimate Alliance is a game where they put basically all of the Marvel characters into one to defend to defend. So you got X-Men, you have all of the Marvel, Spider-Man, and you got all of them is in the game. So, it's coming out July 19th, though. That's really all that I have.
And that's all I have. Basically, as Marvel likes to call this movie, it's the final saga of the Infinity Saga, I guess is the best way to put it. Was Endgame bringing some finality to the storyline of the Marvel movies, which is basically called, as they call it, MCU, but it means that it is part of the cinematic universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it basically means it's a turning point. Okay, so we up until now we were in part 3. Now we're going to move into phase 4.
Okay, so all of the Marvel movies were put into phases.
Right.
So that was the end of phase 3.
Right.
So we don't know what's in store for phase 4.
Exactly.
So I think the beginning movie for phase 4 is Spider-Man.
I think so too.
Phase 1 I want to say was probably Iron Man, since he was the first.
Or no, Captain America I thought came out.
I want to
first winter games. Let's find out here.
Let's see. Who movie was first? Iron Man first movie was. Let's find out. Iron Man. The first movie was in 2008, and we got Captain America who came out. Captain America came out in 2011. So Iron Man was the first.
Okay.
And guess what? Iron Man was the mentor of Spider-Man.
Right.
So now we get to start phase 4.
Right. With Spider-Man.
That's. But I want to say phase 4 is going to deal with the younger version of Marvel.
Yep. I think they're going to
from the past. I don't know.
Right. I think you're going to see the budding of Spider-Man. Developing more further in character, and I think you'll see the prequel, as we already know, for Black Widow, and how she became part of it.
But that's why I think they're pushing her back so far, which is to 2020, because maybe we're going to see something else come maybe later this year. I don't know. But that's interesting.
Right. So that's pretty much what I'm saying here. The biggest part is, I think, in phase 4 is going to explain, and this is what they're trying to mention here as they move ahead, is this 5-year period, this 5-year jump. Okay, for quite a while now, everybody knew about the Endgames, and MCU's greater timeline has been mysteriously impossible to pin down as they were doing it. So with some of the rumors suggesting that this is a 5-year jump in the future, we have gotten more and more tidbits as we see going through there of what to expect on there. So I think you're definitely gonna see more of Captain Marvel and how she is helping
with the Avengers and
right. In conclusion, that's all I can see in the Galaxy of the Guardians, which will be the spinoff with Asgardians, is going to be a huge part. So that's all I got to say.
Me too. Okay,
and thanks again to everyone that has followed Marvels for years, has followed this saga particularly. as well as Stan Lee for all the years, and it'll be interesting to see how the writers and producers and directors all go with taking these comics and keeping Stan Lee's vision, really.
I just hope he left his vision to someone that has the mind that he had.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's like Steve Jobs said, he left his vision to somebody that he's seeing. So I just hope that he left it into somebody that's younger, that has a mindset like he did.
Right.
Like he didn't let nobody alter his vision.
Right.
And that's what I hope that he's seeing in somebody that won't.
I think he had somebody. Yeah, that was. He knew that he was going to be following in his steps.
Yeah, because I mean, everybody, you have to leave your mark with somebody,
right?
And hopefully, he did find that person, and they don't mess with his vision too much. I mean, obviously, they're going to have to alter it because they don't have him to produce the movie and stuff anymore. But I just hope that he left his mark and he left his knowledge with somebody.
Right.
That.
Right. Okay.
Well, thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe.
Yep. Any thoughts, ideas? Where you think the Hulk even will go? I mean, will he get his own? Will he get a movie out of this? Because he's been basically a backup character mostly.
Has he had a Hulk movie though? I can recall. I don't remember.
And don't forget, you have Ant-Man. And Wasp has not really been introduced that much, in there. So here I'm throwing some things in here all of a sudden before we go here. So they
did come out with a Hulk movie back in 2008.
Right.
But same year that Iron Man came
out. But they just haven't really gone in depth other than always with the Avengers. So
interesting. Oh no, they actually had one in 2003 called The Incredible Hulk.
Right, but
maybe I have to go back and watch some of the movies.
Right, I think I will have to too, as well on that one. So that's it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.
Definitely got a. Was this live?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.